So, not that I want to be against certain people and stuff, right? It's not that I want to be against certain people and stuff. It's like I wasn't against certain people at one point in time in my life before situations I would consider to be, business issues or bad, or some people might consider to be issues of bad business. But as many people know, I've supported John Noelke of the Noelke Gallery for over almost 5, 6, 7 years. Well, I want to say like five. More realistically, it was like five. Like 5 years, 4 or 5 years, I've supported John Noelke of the Noelke Gallery and stuff like that. And I've always was a big support and very supportive of the artist that, him and, and the person Rana Tron Justice under him would bring into the Noelke Gallery and stuff like that, especially before they moved and they actually opened up the whole Howard's bookstore thing. So I was really always supportive of them, and I was always a really big supportive artist and stuff like that, right? Granted, I always think there was something about that John just didn't like about me or something. I always got the sense from John that John didn't like something about me, or there was something that John just didn't understand about me, or didn't really. I don't know. It's like there's something there that John wasn't too keen on, or maybe it felt like he wasn't too keen on something about me, But a lot of the stuff I did work with the Noki Gallery and stuff on was through Ranatron Justice, she was a friend of mine at one point. And I worked with her through some stuff, but to work out some things and to, about shows and stuff. But I supported them for almost 5 years before the move, and I supported them probably about a month or two into the move of the new Howard's bookstore. Um, but there's been things with through my support and through my support of them as an artist and of whether they had the gallery, on Water Street, or whether they moved closer towards Main Street. There was a part of me that, felt that there was something there that I wasn't maybe as well liked or well valued as I should have been, or maybe I should be feeling compared to how what was. To them they might have only valued me a certain way to be able to only valued me a certain way to be able to you know to really be able to grasp anything in their means. But I just feel like there's a little. I've been kind of feeling like I'm worth a little bit more than the value that I get from supporting, from supporting the Noki Gallery or Howards, because I've supported Howards. There was some issues with some cultural stuff. Granted, I don't have issues with the cultural stuff. I mean, obviously, I'm a Black Lives Matter supporter. I believe that Black lives do matter, and I believe in that, despite some people saying my actions are this way or that way or etc. Or because because I was or because I was at one point here when I really should have been there, or there was different scenarios and things about it. But at the end of the day, I'm a Black Lives Matter supporter, and we all have to agree that Black lives should matter, right? Granted, I don't always agree with some of the some of the people who want to create those organizations or those movements in town, because there's a lot of disagreements with just over some social dramas and things like that with people who are of Black lives and stuff like that. I've had my social issues and stuff. Not that I'm totally against Black lives. It's just that we can't get along with everybody, and there's certain people that have issues with people. So I've had my issues with people who have been part of the Black community and etc. And I've tried again and again to make things right and give people so many chances and stuff like that. And there's people out there who think they've given me so many chances. And it's at the point where it's just like, it is what it is, that they don't like me, I don't like them, but at a way it's causing this social type of drama or these social type of issues where people just don't feel like they give a shit about me. And when they say they don't give a shit about me, they really mean that they don't give a shit about me, which means that, they don't care how their actions, will affect me or etc. or how they choose to do what they do with their body's time or whatever else. And that's kind of where there's been a really big bullying type of a bullying type of issue, and plus a very big like social drama type of issue where, it's a lot of this comes from like a child, like a childish mannerism type thing that came from the mental health program of people who suffer with serious mental illness and stuff like that, but can't really always properly socialize within a social setting. So this has kind of created a big issue, especially when you want to have a social setting out in the community and stuff like that. And then there's people with other big social, issues and stuff, or issues with their mental health, and they've already, they want to create social issues and things like that. So you're having a big problem on trying to socialize. But yeah, that's kind of why I don't always like the cultural groups, because they feel, because people are black and stuff like that, they probably feel that I'm still, I'm still a white person. I still have my privilege, and I still have, a lot more going for me compared to possibly them, and etc. But things should have died out like 5 years ago, but it really hasn't. There's been a lot of stabs. There's been a lot of like, even after the fact, within those 5 years, it's like I would go try to meet somebody new in the town, and the next thing you know, there's that one person there that's always taking stabs behind my back and stuff, trying to fuck me over and do what he needs to do whatever he needs to do to really try to show me he just doesn't give a shit about me, whether, and like create this like social drama situation over another woman, because, he got, basically 5 years ago, I got yelled at over two women. One was not necessarily a woman that either of us could have, and one was necessarily the other one was necessarily a family friend, right? That was a family friend. Or it was supposed to be a family friend. Obviously, I don't think I'm even family, because I actually had to disown my family. But when we were talking and we were family, that was supposed to be a family friend. But then, they fucked me over, and I decided, my family was kind of fucking me over, so I decided not to engage in any social type of situations with them and etc. because I feel like my family was only going to really drag me down, and they almost did. They have connections in Torrington. There's a lot of people in the within the mental health programs that have connections to Torrington, and it's caused a lot of social issues. And there's a lot of people who hear just through word of mouth alone that don't like me. They don't like me. I don't give a fuck. I really try not to give a fuck, and I try to live my own life and not really give a fuck. As long as somebody's not raising a hand to me or coming at me with any type of weapon or anything, I don't really give a fuck. Go do you. Go hate me if you want to. Just leave me the fuck alone, But, at this point, it's like, a lot of people don't like, there's a lot of people don't like me for a lot of social issues, because there's a lot of people who I've either tried to socialize with and we couldn't get along because I've had, some mental health issues. They've had some mental health issues. We can't get along socially. So there's friction between us, and now there's going to be friction between other people because they want to go tell other people that I was such and such a way, or etc. And then there's either people that want to believe it or etc. And, it's a big chain reaction of a bunch of drama in this town. It's not very positive. But regardless, there's a lot of friction, and it's not just necessarily with a cultural group, because it's not really necessarily with the cultural group. It's mostly stemming from a mental health recovery, and people from that mental health recovery that know people from that cultural group. And because because the cultural group wants to get such and such involved with this person and that person, I'm trying to keep my head clean and my head above water by not trying to get involved with the cultural group too much, because they're choosing to socialize with people that should be long gone to me and my social circles and situations, So this has been a big social circle drama situation, because the situation should have been long done and over with, but it's not. And the only thing I can really do is try to move on and try to find my own social circles and situations where certain situations don't blow up in my face. Sorry, I need like a fucking tissue. My mouth is disgusting. Fucking dry mouth. But, regardless, it is what it is. But I mean, I don't have problems with the social, with the cultural group, and I don't have problems with Black Lives Matter. It's like I don't have problems with Black Lives Matter. I had a lot of state workers at one point in time telling me that all lives matter, all lives should matter. And then some of them changed their tone, saying, "Oh, now it used to be, some people used to think that all lives matter, but now the social norm is that Black lives matter, so we're going to more towards Black lives." And I don't think some of the mental health workers actually, really kind of believe in Black lives. I think they believe in other things besides just Black lives, but I mean, they have a right to their own issues, their own issues and things like that. I mean, and everybody has an issue with me with Black lives too, in a way. It's because everybody knows me that I personally believe in Black lives, but at the same time, this is where people get kind of frustrated with me. I believe in interracial dating. I'm open to interracial dating. I'm hoping for an interracial dating experiences. And that's kind of a big taboo situation in the Black community, especially when preaching about Black love and etc. That's a very taboo situation. So, it's a very taboo situation for people in the Black community, and some Black people can't wrap their head around that, because they're so, they have to believe in Black love, because Black love is, to them, is the ultimate wealth, To them, it's the ultimate wealth, and it's actually what Black wealth is supposed to be about to some of the Black community. So, and I know this, because I've seen people talk about it, and I know this personally, but, regardless, I believe in interracial dating, and it makes people kind of, there's differences of opinions where people will be like okay with it, and then there's people that will not be okay with it, and then there's people that will hear about it and be like, well, we accept it, but it might not be for me. But it's like, I'm open to interracial dating, so I'm more, I'm what they call a swirler, or a swirl into the swirl, or the swirler, which is the joining of the two cultures, which they call it swirl or swirling, so. Or interracial dating, there's all kinds of names for it, like, like chocolate women for like white men, or vanilla men, or something weird. They have all these dating sites got all these interracial dating sites got all these different cute names for how they view interracial dating. But regardless, some people think it's very wrong and stuff, and that's the only thing I have, I guess the cultural group and I have issues with, other than the socialization issue, which I guess in some cases the socialization issue kind of stemmed also from me also looking for an interracial relationship, possibly with some of those clients and etc., and nobody was mature enough to handle the situation or handle the fact that I actually wanted to ask such and such out to maybe a date or to hang or whatever else. So it became very, kind of like, immature and drama-ish, and kind of toxic, it's very toxic at this point. Not even kind of, it's very toxic at this point. It's at the point now where it's kind of affected the situation with, my situation with, with the Black community a little bit, with supporting Black lives, and it's affected, some of my overall mental health with how this, socialization piece kind of plays out, and kind of is connected to some people who support Black lives and stuff, even though I want to support them too. It's like, I want to support them, but I don't support some of the people they kind of interact with, so it's like, I do support Black lives, and I am a Black Lives Matter supporter. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I do believe that Black lives matter, and it's terrible what happened to George Floyd. I did at one point in time say he wasn't innocent, and there was proof on that he wasn't totally innocent, but he should have never died at the hands of the police the way that he did, and we all know that, We all know that George Floyd should have never died at the hands of the way of the police that he did, And because he was a Black man and stuff like that, they chose to handle him, a certain way, and that was not actually right. But, regardless, people will look at me and say, "Oh, you were talking bad about George Floyd and saying George Floyd wasn't innocent," but there was actually proof on that George Floyd had some issues, but still, that's not the factor why people celebrate, or tried to celebrate him or tried to stand up and advocate for him as a Black Lives Matter issue. It's because he was a black man, and and the way he was targeted by the police obviously makes him a target for black lives. And we all know that. That's basically what was told to me, and that was basically what I was discussing with some other people. But, regardless of the factor, there's a lot of social issues I have with the black community. I don't want to have social issues with the black community. My heart goes out with some people towards the black community and stuff like that. But obviously there was a lot of differences with the Noelke Gallery. We're going to start with the Noelke Gallery first. I'm going to go into another thing about the black community, or about a black business, in a minute, which is about another black business in the Torrington community. But I wanted to just, talk about the fact too that, besides, the interracial dating, which people don't like from me, and then, my whole thing where there's socialization issues with the cultural group. I don't necessarily hate the cultural group. There's no hatred for the cultural group. There's no hatred for me socializing and trying to, socialize with the cultural group and trying to have them in my atmosphere. I just don't want I don't want such and such in my atmosphere. I don't care if they're in my atmosphere and they're talking about black lives and etc. I mean, we all agree that black lives should matter. I agree too. That's not up for debate or up for question. What's up for question is, keeping the peace of my sanity, my time, my mental health, and a bunch of other things. That's up for question. That's been up for question. So I'm trying to keep the peace of my sanity, my time, my mental health, and my safety, and a bunch of other things that really could be up for jeopardy because of how situations and things have played out. But, regardless, people are going to do what they want to do because they just simply do not care. So, but let's get it straight though. I do support Black Lives. I have a Black Lives Matter flag in my kitchen. I read up on anti-racism books and books on that are about pro-black type of subjects and things like that I want to I try to read up on, and I try to try to educate myself on. But regardless too, that's not the only reason why I've fallen out with the bookstore though. I mean, the other thing I wanted to say is that I found it very funny that there was an article saying that people donate bags of books to the store owner all the time, right? People donate bags of books to the store owner all the time. So besides all this issues with possibly a couple of artists that don't like me or disagree with the way I'm handling my social media page, or how they feel like I'm handling Black Lives and etc. There was a point in business, especially when they moved like two months into the business of the Howards and the Noelke Gallery bookstore, that I actually ended up trying to actually donate a bag of books. And the way I tried to donate a bag of books, I don't like the way it was handled. That I try to, be nice and show you, I believe in what you're trying to do. I believe in the business. I believe in, your bookstore, and I think this is a great thing for Torrington. I wanted to donate you a bag of books because I wanted to show you how much I believed in you. The stupid guy just looked, at like 2 books and said, I'll take these 2 because he thinks they're going to be worth money and stuff like that. And looked at the rest and said, I can't take the rest because I either have them or they're just not going to be worth money, and told me to take the rest home. Then he found out that I was actually trying to donate some other books to a couple of the free libraries and stuff like that in town. And then he looked at me and was like, well, could you maybe bring those bags over so I can see what's in them before you donate them and stuff like that? And I didn't say much. I kind of just went home and I carried it home, and I was pretty upset for having to carry it home. And I kind of thought about some stuff, and then I kind of talked about it with a couple of people about how I was feeling. And some people thought I should have liked how that was handled, and I really didn't like how that was handled. If people are donating bags of books and stuff like that, and he's actually taking the whole bags of books, why didn't he do that for me, you know? Why didn't he not do that for me? Why did he only take 2 that were going to be worth money and tell me to take the rest home? Because that's basically what he did to me, you know? That's basically why I'm not supporting him, because it's like fucking bad business. I thought that was very bad business. I thought that was like showing me that you just cared about the money and what would sell and, you know, what would make you a fucking name, compared to the fact that you would take my gesture, my offer for the whole face value for what it was, and then, you know, accept it and not really make me feel like you just wanted it for the money or etc. That's what pissed me off. That's what pissed me off. And a couple people told me I shouldn't go back, if, you know, especially if I'm already, you know, if it's a used bookstore, which it's a used bookstore. It's a used bookstore. I'm spending my money at the used bookstore, and I you know, a couple times I spent over like $50 at the used bookstore, just on like 5 used books alone. Which, you know, you could probably pay that much for a full price, you know, like a brand new book or something like that. But I mean, some of his books might be kind of different, and some of those books might be worth money, or worth like money and value, but, you know, to me it's like, you know, I don't know. It made me feel some type of way of supporting the business. It made me feel some type of way about his business character and about how he handles his business and how he's going about and operating his business. So I chose not to support him. I chose to step back and not support him for a while. Granted, now this is where things are going to get kind of interesting, because, you know, down the line, Tequanna Soul Food and Sweets opened up. You know, Tequanna Soul Food and Sweets opened up. And everybody knows I love soul food. I've had soul food throughout my life, you know. As many people might not know, I was actually in the system. I was actually kind of dealing with some things in the system growing up as a kid and stuff like that. But there was times in the system and stuff like that they would have a soul food night, or a soul food night at some of the places I was at, where they would have like fried chicken, and they would have, you know, collard greens, and, you know, and things like that, and I always really enjoyed that. I always loved soul food as like a kid. I remember having that, and that was like one of the best nights I've had, is like the soul food. I've always loved collard greens, you know, ever since then, you know, but, you know. You know, when the actual business opened up and stuff like that, I mean, at first I wasn't too happy, because I was kind of like, you know, I was kind of in the mix with, you know, I was like supporting John, but then John was kind of being John, kind of like, you know, what will work for him, so he can capitalize off of Tequanna. Basically, he was basically trying to capitalize off of Tequanna, and basically trying to capitalize and try to do what he can do to, you know, rub good graces with Tequanna, so, you know, he can get a good name and stuff like that. So I was kind of annoyed about that, and I wanted to also kind of meet Tequanna and, you know, get to support her and, you know, be a support to her too. And for a while I actually was. I mean, I actually really do like Tequanna. Tequanna's actually a very nice person. What I did not like, which I've said before, you know, as I was talking about supporting a local business owner, I did not like the fact that when I took the job, certain things happened and certain attitudes were given to me and stuff like that. That I just didn't feel, I had a hard time accepting and working with, you know, especially as somebody who I always thought that I was going to see of us first and foremost as a friend, you know, first and foremost as a friend, and somebody who I was going to have a good relationship with, that, you know, I could actually have a connection to and be there for. But, granted, I took the job just to help her out, because I wanted to help her out, and she said, "Oh, you can take the job," and that was after, you know, that was after a couple of things. As I said before in the status, that was, you know, we talked probably about a couple of months in. You know, I came through a couple of times. I supported the business. My mom even supported the business. Let me tell you this. My mom supported the business. My mom supported Tequanna's. My mom absolutely loved Tequanna's, you know, food. She absolutely loved it. My mom and her friends raved about how Tequanna's food was and stuff like that. And they said that they would probably come back if they ever came back up to see me and stuff like that. Granted, that can't happen now. Because of some miscommunications and some things that I really wish really could have been. I think they really could have been, but they were not. worked out in the job, in the situation of the job sense, when I had taken the job, or, there was a miscommunication issue, or there were some issues with, like, how they were feeling and how I was feeling. So, I mean, I think it could have been worked out, and I think, we probably maybe shouldn't have been able to sink the ship of the factor that I should probably not be supporting Tequanna's. But I mean, I feel like I should still be supporting Tequanna's, but that's up to Tequanna, because she's obviously the boss and the CEO, right? So, but regardless, I was talking to her and stuff like that, and I mean, obviously, as I said before, she's a very flirty person. I saw her flirt with some local business owners. She's a very flirty person. She's a very kind of flirty person. She knows a lot of guys are interested, in talking to her and stuff, because she has a lot going for her, and she's a pretty woman, when she is a pretty woman. I will tell you openly that Tequanna is a pretty woman. I think she's a pretty woman. I always thought she was a pretty woman. But, and I was supporting her. I mean, I was supporting her, and I even talked to her about some personal things, which we kept it personal. Some things were kept very personal in between us, and I'm still not going to say what they are, because they were very personal between us. But regardless, some of the things that were said, which I'm only going to say this one thing about the situation kind of tying into this, is that she knew that I was having issues with the Noelke gallery and stuff like that, and she knew that. She knew that I was kind of feeling kind of frustrated, and she said, well, you can still come support me, and you can still be my friend and support my, my store, and etc., which I did. I went there, and I tried to support her, and I tried to be her friend, and I tried to talk to her, and I told her, there were some things I told her how I felt and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say everything in this video, but if you want to read the whole thing, go find my status, which is probably about 5 or 6 paragraphs long about everything how I feel, because I put it in more detail that way. I'm sorry if not everything is spelled correctly. My spell check fucking sucks. Now, onward. But regardless, I was supporting Tequanna and stuff like that. So Tequanna and I were good friends, and we were talking to each other and stuff like that. Granted, she at sometimes a little bit, she started giving me a little bit of privilege. She started giving me a little bit of privilege, and she was being nice to me, and she started giving me a little bit of privilege, or giving me a little bit of privilege. I'm not going to say why or what for, but I felt like there was a little bit of privilege given to me with being her friend and stuff like that. And I mean, after a while, I kind of felt kind of wrong about it, and I had to tell her, like, look, I don't really want to accept all the privileged stuff you're giving me, because I don't feel comfortable. I mean, obviously, granted, at that time, it was like I was just about to take the job, and she was still trying to give me a form of privilege and a form of something that, that I necessarily, I didn't necessarily want to take the offer, even though she was trying to be kind and nice about it, saying, here, I want to be nice to you. And it's like, well, thank you, Tequanna, but I really, I really felt differently about the situation, and she looked at me weird about it, like I was kind of like weird or something, because I wanted to not take, the gesture for, basically for free, I wanted to be able to pay for something, and she, she was being nice to me, she was being very nice to me, and, I really just wanted to talk to her. I just really wanted to talk to her and just be her friend and get to know her, and because I'm obviously Carl Urso K-Art, and that's my business. I'm my slash business slash hobby slash whatever you want to call it, as as an artist and an actual poet and an actual writer and an actual somebody who paints and draws and does what he does, But regardless, I ended up taking a job for Tequanna, because things happened where I started talking to her for months. It was a little flirty. And she knew that I was also interested in black women, because I told her I was interested in interracial dating. I tell every woman that I'm open to interracial dating. You never know if the woman is going to be open to interracial dating until you actually tell somebody you're still open to interracial dating. Some women might not know how to handle that. Some women might feel uncomfortable. Some women might not. But regardless, you should still be open with the fact that you're open to interracial dating. And obviously, I went to Tequanna's too, because I was hoping to form connections and friendships and stuff like that. Like I formed a friendship and connection with Tequanna for a little bit. I formed a connection and a friendship with her, and I was also hoping to form a connection and friendship with some other people as well, because I'm obviously, as I said before, I'm open to interracial dating and stuff like that, and I wanted to see if I can make if I could make some more connections within the black community and stuff like that, if I could make some more connections and more things within the black community and stuff that, that would be, beneficial to me and in my situation, It didn't necessarily mean that I was actually going to date Tequanna, right? Me and Tequanna were friends, right? I told Tequanna that, we're going to just be friends, and we'll start slow, we'll get to know each other slow, and we'll just take things and see how things play out. So, not that I was trying to be like, all up on Tequanna, because I wasn't. I wasn't like I was keeping my boundaries. I was keeping my boundaries because obviously she's a store owner, she's a local business owner, and she's a professional, right? I'm a professional too. We got to keep it professional. We got to keep it basically business. It was basically business regardless, and that's the way that's the way it should be kept. But regardless though, she did know that I was open to interracial dating and interracial relationships. So. But we talked for a little bit. And stuff like that. And she was upset with me. She was upset with me a couple times throughout the time we were talking. But we worked some things out, and we talked, and we were back in each other's good graces and stuff like that. What really kind of maybe ruined the situation was the fact that when I went to help her out and volunteer my time to help her out, to be of service to her, so she didn't have such a burden on her back. She didn't have such a burden to feel like she had such a burden of things that she had to do and take care of, that she felt she had such a burden on. So I actually helped her, take some of that burden off by trying to help her out around the store and stuff. Granted, she said, maybe I could start paying you, and maybe you could start being part of my staff, and etc. I didn't really want to take a full-blown job. I mean, I'm disabled. I'm not sure if I can be able to, I'm not even sure I can be able to work. I had a hard time working for her as it was, but, I don't, I don't know if I'm going to be able to work a full-blown job, right? Sorry, I'm like, my throat's dry. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to work a full-blown job. But, I'm trying to take the job. I'm trying to, help her out and stuff like that. I'm trying to be a very nice guy. I'm trying to be very kind and etc., right? Granted, she's very upset with me and stuff like that a couple of times because of different things, and she's let me know certain things. She's let me know that she did kind of not want me to gift her certain things, because I was thinking about gifting her some flowers or something for Valentine's Day. I was just thinking about being nice, She said it in her post too, that she gets gifted flowers and stuff. I was thinking about gifting her flowers or something for Valentine's Day, and I was told that she was uncomfortable with that, because when I actually mentioned it to her, I was going to ask her, hey, do you have a Valentine or something? I was just going to give her like some flowers or something, be kind of nice about it and stuff, but that obviously was taken the wrong way a little bit, but that kind of brought us a disagreement a little bit. But granted, we were trying to be friends, and she obviously knew that I was open to, interracial relationships and stuff, and she did probably know that I thought of her as a little pretty and, as an attractive woman, but we were friends, right? And she was very nice to me. She tried to be very nice to me. She was a very kind-hearted and very decent person, I think it was at the point where I took the job, and she really got upset with me because, sorry, I needed to, make my throat not scratchy. She got, fucking allergies. She got upset with me when I took the job, right? So, she got upset. Ah! She got upset. Okay, well, hold on. Let me start over before I end up choking to death. Oh. Okay, I'm about to throw up almost. Jeesh. That's my reflux. That's actually my reflux doing that. The only thing I had to drink over here was coffee to make sure that my throat wasn't like scratchy, and I got like bad nasal drip in the back of my throat. Oh, that's not good. Anyways, yeah, so things were good after she let me take the job. I'm gonna try to just continue this without me trying to throw up all over the floor here. Things were good, but as soon as I took the job, or she wanted me to take the job, things were a little different. Things were a little different, and things were a little not right between us, Because at that point, she didn't become my friend, she became my employer, which was stupid of me. Which was stupid of me to take the job, but I didn't really think I was being employed for anything. I was telling her I was going to volunteer my time and try to give back to her by just trying to volunteer my time and help out where I could. And she said, well, I'll give you a little paycheck for doing it. But that's what I thought. I was volunteering. I didn't think I was going to take a full-blown job for Tequanna's, right? So, but apparently, she wanted me to take a full-blown job and try to help out because she needed somebody right then and there to take over the situation. So she was going to trust me. She was not only going to trust me with the passcodes to lock up, to not lock up and stuff like that and everything else. She was not only going to trust me with that, but she was going to trust me to basically man the store by myself and on my own, right? She was going to trust me to man the store and by myself and on my own. And that's a big responsibility even for me who's never worked a restaurant job in my life. I've never worked a restaurant job in my life, right? I've never worked a restaurant job in my life. I've never had a restaurant job where I've had to man a whole store on my own, and that's a big responsibility for somebody who still is unsure that they can really hold a full-time job. Because I told her I can't be there full time. I can help out in days that I can come and help out, but I can't be there full time. I don't know where she got into her head that I need to be there full time. She's like, well, I need you here, and it's like, I know you need me, but I'm telling you what I also need. I'm telling you what I also need and what I also am willing to do. I mean, I'm also willing to be there, and I don't want to not be there. It's just like I couldn't be there 24/7. So that was our first communication issue, because for me I was like, let me volunteer my time because I really like the business, I really like the food, and I really wanted to help her out so she could feel less burdened, so she could feel less burdened and less troubled with her situation. So I took the job, and granted, she was very upset with me Friday night when she came onto the job because it was my first job, and I had, with my disability and stuff, it was very hard for me to do certain tasks, and very hard for me to have the proper direction and stuff when she's yelling at me through a phone. She didn't come onto the site until 5 o'clock at night, but it was very hard for me to do the job and to do the tasks and stuff because she didn't come onto the site at 5 o'clock at night, and she's barking orders to me through the phone, and I'm like, okay, what do I do? And it's like, obviously there's a list of things that I have to do, and it's like I'm trying to do them and stuff like that, but Obviously she wasn't really very trusting or very happy with the girl that she had working for her in the first place. I mean, granted, she was a nice girl, but she said she was unreliable, or a little unreliable with like the tasks that needed to get done and stuff like that. Granted, I was trying to do as much of the tasks as I possibly could, and maybe not all of them got done, and etc. But I felt it was very harsh for me as somebody who struggles with a disability and learning how to like try to work on tasks and stuff like that. That I felt it was very hard for me and my disability to be able to kind of work for her job and stuff like that. And I was having a hard time. I was having a hard time on the job, and I was having a hard time trying to work on some stuff. Granted, I wanted to talk to her, and I really do mean what I had said on the post where I had talked about it, and I said, yeah, I wanted to talk to her when she came in and into the job at 5 o'clock, and she's like, well, I gotta feed my kids, I gotta pay these bills, and I'm gonna go in the back and probably find like 10 or 7 things wrong with what you guys did not do, and that I'm gonna have to go and correct. So right then and there, it's like the first day on the job, and I'm already getting yelled at. There was like 7 or 8 things that I possibly did not do that she had to go back and correct, because obviously it's my first day on the job, and I'm pretty much not a good worker regardless. So she was pretty much upset with me. She was pretty much upset with me, and etc. And it's like, well, I felt some type of way about that, because it's like, I offered my time and my effort to help you out and be there for you, but I feel like as a boss, she wasn't really appreciative. I feel like as a boss, she felt like she could take over as a boss and really be a boss and really be bossy. And it was like, well, she did, and she was her store and she was the boss. But at the same time, for me, it was like my heart, where my heart was, and my efforts and what I was willing to do and what I actually physically could do was not actually being recognized, or really being valued, or etc. Granted, I was told to go home. I was told to go home because if there was nothing else I needed or nothing like that, I was told to go home. Granted, she started looking around some things, and she said there was a smell or something, because she started barking at me and this other person through text messages. We're being barked at through text messages, right? We're being barked at through text messages and stuff like that, and it's like, well, it's my first day on the job, and I'm already feeling like shit, because it's my first day, and it's probably the worst day yet that I've already had on the job, and it's like, I wish it could have been better, But granted, she was still yelling at me and stuff like that, and all I really wanted to do was kind of sit down and kind of talk to her and tell her how I was feeling, and I wanted her to hear me out, but I kind of realized too that she might not, I kind of realized at some point that she might not hear me out. She might not hear me as like that friend, or as that person that was once willing to hear me out as her friend and as somebody who was in her social circle and in her business social circle, now that I had taken a job where she's going to start paying me money and stuff like that. So I've learned a big thing: when there's money involved and people expect you to do a job, or there's money involved and people expect to pay you, there seems to be a lot of a lot of like this that people seem to be about. So I'm learning that the hard way. I mean, it's very hard to explain what I meant by that, but it's like, I know there was a saying, like when there's money involved, or somebody offers you money to do something or something, it's like, you're no longer free. You're no longer free. You're kind of obligated to that person to do what you have to do. You're no longer in control of your own schedule, your own time and stuff like that. You're kind of being, you kind of have to be told of like, how things have to be, and it's like, For me as an artist, everybody knows that I'm an artist and stuff, but for me being an artist and stuff, it's done on my own schedule and my own time. I can pretty much post anything I want and do my art and stuff on my own schedule and my own time. It doesn't have to be like, oh, you need to do this now, or you need to do this now. Like, you have to just kind of constantly do stuff, I can still do my own art and my own schedule and my own time. And that's one thing I like about my, me kind of being an entrepreneur, or kind of like a unofficial disabled entrepreneur. Because I'm an entrepreneur, yes, but I'm disabled, and I'm kind of unofficially, kind of still a little bit unofficially an entrepreneur, because I can't necessarily give myself that official title, because, anything that's like an entrepreneur, anything that's like an official business is still kind of very taboo, considering some things with, my higher ups. But I did end up, originally taking, a third time source of income when I started working for Tequanna, right? When I started working for Tequanna, I did take a third time source of income. So I did try to help her out, and I did try to be her friend, and try to, take what I could do for her business and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, I felt very wrong. My heart felt very wrong. I really liked Tequanna and stuff, and I didn't like the way she handled, like, her. I don't know how if I could. I put it this way. I don't know if I could handle her as a boss. I don't think I was able to handle her as a boss. Her with her temper, and her as a boss is not something I really want to be a part of. I mean, I like her, and I like when she's nice, and I like when she, I can talk to her, and I like the conversations we've had, and I like the fact that I kind of could have, I felt at one point I could have confided in her, and then she kind of understood, but she I don't know. Let's put it this way. She got mad at me for the job thing. And I obviously, she told me to go home and stuff. And then I barked at her. I kind of barked. I don't say barked, but I kind of like text messaged her back. And unfortunately, I didn't realize it was a group chat, right? So she got mad at me because I barked at her through a group chat, right? So when I barked at her through a group chat, she got very mad at me and said, "Oh, you should just message me about something, privately and stuff like that." But it wasn't necessarily, it wasn't necessarily like, I wanted to bark at her deliberately through a group chat. I didn't realize it was a group chat, so apparently I just embarrassed myself and embarrassed me and her in front of the other worker, or the other person working for her. So that was a big, that was a big thing of why I almost did not go down there, when I was supposed to go down there the next day. The next day she wanted me to come down too, and and then when I mentioned something about me being frustrated or something, she started thinking I was going to be unreliable and stuff like that, and I wasn't coming down, and it was like I started getting yelled at for being unreliable and this and unreliable that, and it's like, well, the way I was getting yelled at for already being unreliable, whether I could barely get my feelings or my conversation out of how I was feeling, it was like it kind of ruined it for me. It kind of ruined the fact that I was even going to go back on the job, because I had a lot of, part of me became chicken shit a little bit, because I knew I didn't want to deal with the temper. The temper thing kind of had me, I don't know, like her temper kind of has me kind of like, yeah, I can face it a little bit, but I rather not get, yelled at or swung at or anything, because she's like in such a temper or something, because her business is not getting, taken care of the way it needs to be taken care of. So, I mean, I obviously liked Tequanna. I didn't like the job. I didn't like the job experience, and I actually wanted to talk to her when I talked to her, when I was going to talk to her Friday night. I wanted to talk to her about how I was feeling, about how I was struggling doing things with my disability and stuff like that. And I felt I was struggling with certain tasks and things. And I also wanted to talk to her possibly. I mean, there was part of me too that was thinking maybe I should possibly quit the job and just try to still kind of keep it where we could still be friends. I didn't necessarily want to fall out and not be friends with Tequanna. I mean, I still really liked Tequanna. I felt like there was a purpose. There was a purpose for me meeting Tequanna. There was a purpose why I was kind of drawn there, I felt very strongly about wanting to support, the soul food restaurant, and wanting to support it, because I feel like it was not going to not just be a big thing for Torrington, but a big thing for the black culture and stuff as well in Torrington and stuff. Not just for Torrington's culture, but the black culture as well. And I wanted to be a part of that, I wanted to be a part of like helping her out and, saying, being there for something that I thought was going to be really great. But, At this point, I'm really kind of frustrated. I'm really kind of frustrated, and there's not much I can really say. I mean, I said a lot. I said a lot already. I said a lot already, and stuff like that. I said a lot already and stuff like that. So, it is what it is. I mean, I kind of told, I mean, I kind of was asked, was told too that if I couldn't do the job and stuff, or if I couldn't, be reliable and stuff, that she had to fire somebody in the past who was not reliable and stuff like that. And she's had to ask them not to come back, right? So she's had to ask them not to come back to the store and not to support it or come back in any way. And she kind of told that to me, and I kind of knew that, but I kind of knew that kind of little later into the thing, before, like, at the point where it was almost too late to either back out or kind of change my mind for the course direction of which the course I was going down. So I almost really wanted to try to course correct and kind of put me back into like this mode where I maybe did not take the job, even though I tried to take the job, and maybe but she would have been mad at me. She would have been mad at me because she needed somebody to take the job, and I said I could try to help her, but I kind of had a lot of, bad thoughts on that. I had a lot of bad thoughts on that, and I wanted to bring it up to her. I wanted to tell her I was like working for you. I want to be a supporter. I want to still come in, so, be able to give you my money, and then, for the exchange of, like, your delicious food and stuff. But it wasn't a good thing. It wasn't a good thing at all. I mean, there was some personal things going on between me and her. I mean, we shared some personal things. She wasn't as open. She wasn't as open as probably I was a little bit. I was a little more open. I was a little more trusting. I mean, I told her a little bit more about my feelings about certain situations, or maybe, and there was a little bit of like weird social stuff going on in the store, and I told her a little bit about that, which just kind of like her business, because she was kind of handling some stuff. But I kind of was trying to look out for Tequanna. I mean, even as somebody who was actually eating there, right? I was basically eating there. There was times I was eating there and stuff too, and then somebody went in the back to take care of something, to use the bathroom, and then there's guys just pretty much coming into the store and looking around and walking right out. There was guys coming in there, looking around and walking right out of the restaurant, and I told that to Tequanna, like, this guy just came in and looked around and kind of walked right out. So wanted to tell her about the situation, wanted to tell her that had happened, because this guy kind of showed up, and I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And like, is he gonna rob the place? Am I gonna be witness to a robbery or something? Because he's like, I'm sitting right here, and this guy's like doing something, but I don't know. I felt very wrong. I felt very weird and wrong about that. But I mean, I told it to her. I mean, she has cameras. She has cameras for everything. She knows everything. She probably knows everything I said. She probably has recordings of everything I said, every conversation, everything I've said. But then again, she should have known. Because I even said it to the person who was trying to talk to me about working for her and stuff. She was talking to me about it. She was kind of rude. About, things to Tequanna, but Tequanna was kind of rude to her, I guess, in a way. At least she felt she was kind of rude. Tequanna was kind of rude to her. Me, I was still trying to keep it really positive, and I was still trying to have the best hope that, Tequanna and I could still work things out and talk. So all I could really say is, I'll just talk to Tequanna when I get a chance to talk to her. And I said that more than once, and it's like, I'll talk to Tequanna when I get a chance to talk to her. Didn't happen. Did not happen. We did not get a chance to sit down and talk, and I don't know if that's because of some stuff that was going on in her personal life beforehand, or some other stuff that was going on, or etc. But apparently, she was very upset when she walked on the job that night, and it really kind of spiraled some stuff out of control. So, nasal drip. It's the freaking barbecue wings I ate. I know it is. I know it's the freaking barbecue wings I ate. I'm ready to like throw up again. But anyways, That's all I can really say. I mean, there were some things I wanted to keep personal between me and her. I mean, she knew that I was, she knew that I was willing to flirt with her a little bit. She knew that I was willing to talk to her a little bit. She knew she was flirting with other guys and stuff too to get, to kind of get her way and try to get, other guys on board with her. She was flirting a little bit and talking, and other guys were trying to flirt and talk to her and be friendly with her, and it was like, it's her business. It's her business. But at the same time, I won't lie that part of me was kind of bothered by it. Part of me's kind of bothered by it because I'm thinking she's a pretty lady, and I'm wondering why all these people are flirting with her, and it's like, I don't know. It was none of my business though. It was none of my business in the end, and it's like, it's her business, and it's her stuff to take care of. But as I said before, some people think the same way about me. Some people think because I had all these connections within the arts, right? Because people think I had all these connections within the arts, and I had all these connections with these female artists and these other male artists and stuff like that, that I was obviously flirting and stuff, and I had all these people and things that were people thought I was just going to sleep with or etc. because I was just so unloyal or so unfaithful because I had all these people around me that I, supposedly as a business person, as somebody who was trying to network and have connections with this person and that person, that I was going to just be naturally unfaithful. It happened to me before with a relationship, with actually somebody who had the same sign as Tequanna, but somebody different than Tequanna, but somebody who has the same, star sign as Tequanna. It happened probably 5 to 7 years before. So people get so frustrated with me as an artist, like, oh, I can't, but regardless, I'm not allowed to go to Tequanna's. I mean, I felt very strongly about Tequanna's. I felt very, very much of a very strong pull. My heart felt a very strong pull to be there and try to be a part of Tequanna's, because Tequanna's is going to be something really great. I know Tequanna's is going to be something really great. She's a great cook. She's a great cook and an excellent baker. I absolutely love the banana pudding. I absolutely love the banana pudding. I don't necessarily hate Tequanna, guys. I really don't. I mean, I'm going to be kind of upset and kind of having to struggle a little bit because I felt so strongly about wanting to be there, and I necessarily can't be there to support Tequanna, but Tequanna and I, she's going to say it's bad business because obviously she tried to give me a job, or in her eyes, she tried to give me a job, and she thought it was supposed to be something one way, and I tried to tell her, no, I can only take it a certain way, or I only want to take it a certain way, and she wasn't kind of listening to that, so she kind of took it and kind of made it into something, it kind of got blown into something that was not, supposed to be the way it was. But regardless, between Tequanna's and between the Noelke Gallery, I'm out those two businesses. I'm out with some of those connections because not that I want to be. I mean, I could have probably walked into the Noelke Gallery in the bookstore and kind of told the bookstore owner how I kind of felt. Granted, it might have not changed anything. And I still might have been stuck here in this position where I might have not told somebody how I was feeling about how I feel like he was bad business. But regardless, Tequanna kind of knew about that. Tequanna kind of knew because Tequanna even, I told Tequanna a little bit about it, and she kind of said some things to me too that, she felt John was kind of like, a little bit on, a little bit trying to be all over her a little bit and stuff like that, and she didn't feel comfortable. That she felt John was trying to be a little bit like, around her and stuff, and she didn't feel comfortable. Granted, I don't know if that's true or not, and I don't know if that was just being said to me because she kind of knew that I was kind of interested in maybe, talking to her, and I kind of liked her too, and I thought she was a pretty woman, and I liked what she was about, Everybody knows that I was going to think Tequanna was a pretty woman, regardless whether I'm still there or not. People would have came to me and said, yes, we know, we get it, Carl, we know you think Tequanna's a pretty woman, right? I mean, people know me, people know I'm interracial, people know I'm into interracial dating, so, people will know that I just like black women. Black women are pretty to me. Black women are pretty to me. It just naturally is, I can't sit here and bullshit, but, regardless though, I tried for Tequanna. I tried to be a really good support and a really good friend, and I feel like my efforts and things were not matched, and, at the end, she felt I was unreliable and stuff, so she wanted to call me a bad business partner or a bad business because she felt I was unreliable and she couldn't trust me to, like, man the store or anything after she trusted me with, with certain things and etc. Granted, she was also still trying to give me some privilege. She was also still trying to give me privileges. I would have probably went to the paint, she had paint and sips, the paint and sips she does. She said, as part of working for Tequanna, the paint and sips would have been free. The paint and sips would have been free. I wouldn't have had to pay to go to the paint and sips. I would have been able to have a free entry into all the paint and sips. You still get free lunch. You get free lunch and free dinner you get free lunch and free dinner, while you're working on the job at Tequanna. So you had free lunch and free dinner. So I basically was eating a free lunch and a free dinner, or a free lunch or a free dinner. Basically it was what it was. It was what it was, and she was trying to be nice about it, and she was trying to be really nice about it. I'm not going to say her heart wasn't in a good place. I'm just going to say that we had a big miscommunication issue, and it could have been better. The whole situation could have been better. The situation could have been a whole lot better. But, people want to say what they're going to say. People are going to want to say that I was this way or I was that way, or people might even try to use it now as like, oh, this is what happens when you trust somebody who doesn't believe in Black lives. I mean, I know all of what's going to be said, People go to me and be like, oh, this is what you get for trusting somebody who doesn't believe in Black lives, and, oh, he really doesn't believe in us. I mean, I know all the shit that's being said, I can sit here and I would know what people are saying. Like I'm like some piece of shit that, people shouldn't give a chance to, because I'm just going to let people down, Granted, I've done volunteer work and I've done work before where I busted my butt for people and stuff like that. Like the 5 Points Gallery, and I've also done some work for my friend's radio show at WAPJ and stuff like that. I busted my butt back then to do work for people and stuff like that. So, granted, I can still do work and stuff. It was just the fact that this was my first restaurant job, right? This was going to be my first restaurant job, and I never worked a restaurant job in my life. I had no fucking clue what I was doing. No fucking clue. And I had to man the store on my own. That would have been disastrous. She would have had to been called right back on the job, and she would have probably walked in and had more of a fit, because I probably would have had the place in shambles. It would have been disastrous. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, looking back at it, I think it's a good thing that I kind of walked away, but it's kind of not a good thing, because now I'm out at the soul food place, I'm out being able to support, the soul food place and being able to have soul food, because I obviously screwed up. Granted, at the same time, I've lost a lot of connections, because now that I feel like I can't support the Noelke Gallery and the Noelke Gallery bookstore, I don't feel like I can support the artist, right? I don't feel like I can support the artist, or feel like I can support what's going on with the artist and stuff like that. So I've deleted a lot of people. I've actually deleted a lot of people, and I even had some words for some people. I remember there was a video I posted probably about a month or two ago where I was upset with Rana Tron Justice, who actually works for John, and I kind of said some things because I was really frustrated with her, like with her artist and stuff like that. And this is kind of why. Because it's like I'm trying to support these two. I was trying to support these two businesses, and I don't feel like my efforts and time were very valued or very respected. Granted, some people don't feel like my efforts and time are to be respected. So, do you go somewhere where you're not respected? You don't feel like either you can respect each other, or do you go somewhere else to find a place where you can do business and you can work your connections and stuff like that. Granted, I was friends with Tequanna on her Facebook too, on her personal page. I was friends with Tequanna because I told her she could friend me on New Year's Day. New Year's Day was a party. She told me to come to her party on New Year's Day. I came, and she told me to come, and I had some food, and I was just chilling, and so I ended up friending her after the New Year's Day party. But granted, I know there was a lot of personal things going on in her personal life. I don't know what the hell she's doing in her personal life. That's up to her. some of it, I don't know. I don't know if I want to say makes me uncomfortable. It makes me conflicted. It makes me conflicted, basically. I feel kind of conflicted. I don't know if I necessarily feel uncomfortable, but I feel conflicted about some of the things that I know and I've seen in her personal life that went on. I feel kind of conflicted. It's like I want to give her the benefit of the doubt. I want to believe in her because I really think she's a good person and I really think she can offer a lot to Torrington. And I feel like she has a good heart because she's shown me she has a really good heart. She has a temper, but she has a really good heart, you know? But I feel very conflicted by the things I've seen and the things I've witnessed, and I don't want to say that I necessarily don't like some things or I didn't like some things. I might have liked some things a little bit, but at the same time, there was a little bit of confliction because it's like there's a professional boundary and then there's a personal boundary, and there was a mixture of both professional and personal in there. There was a mixture between both professional and personal, and I don't know if we should have maybe mixed professional and personal, or maybe should have just picked the one we were going to go with. Were we going to be more personal, or were we going to be more professional? Because if we were going to be more professional, then yeah, maybe we should have maybe not have went down those, may have not exposed me to those type of things. But if we were going to go more personal, then yes, I mean, I'll witness those type of things, but I mean, as far as professionalism, where, I don't know about business partners because I'm obviously, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a more of a personal matter. So I think in my eyes, it was kind of a conflicted thing because it's like, I know she's a local business and stuff, but I don't know. I mean, it's like, I don't know. For me, it's like I got to keep my business and my personal separate. Although sometimes I don't always do that myself. Sometimes I'm a flirt, and I flirt with other. I also flirt with other artists and stuff. I also try to get a little flirtation on and get my flirtation. I'm single, so I can do what I want to do. I can flirt with all the artists and stuff I want to flirt with. So I'm single, and I mean I have a lot of connections and stuff. I get my flirtation on. Don't get me wrong. I mean. I'm a grown adult. I'm like 33 years old. I'm a fucking adult, so I can do what I want to do. But, regardless is that some people be like, oh, you need to keep the professionalism. You need to keep the professionalism. And for the most part, I do. For the most part, I know my place, and I know that there's certain connections and things you don't want to burn the bridges towards. You don't want to burn the bridges towards. But at the same time, there's some connections and things that I did have in my life, or I'm trying to get back, that I even kind of had to let go of because of the situation where I'm trying to talk to somebody, whether it was like a personal setting or whether it was a business setting, with this whole business situation, that I had to let go of somebody important to me because I kind of was at this point where I was going through a lot with that person, and I felt like at that time I kind of wanted to step away from that person. Granted, it's not that I don't have love for that person. I mean, I have a lot of love for that person. I want that person back in my life. I went on a video before, and I said it before too, that when you start a relationship with somebody, or you try to, when there's like women and stuff, sometimes women don't want you to bring baggage into their relationship. Sometimes grown women don't want you to bring baggage into the relationship, whether it's friends or not friends. They don't want you to bring baggage in. And there was a lot of baggage for that. As much as I love that person, that other person, there was still some baggage and stuff that I was dealing with, and I had to let it go. I had to let it go for the sake of trying to make a friendship or whatever work with that person. And I tried. I tried my best to try to do that, and then that relationship failed. So now I've kind of lost somebody who meant a really lot to me because of a situation that obviously didn't take very long to fail. It didn't take very long to fail. As I said before, I think things could have been worked out through simple communication. But is it really simple if that person's getting really upset and stuff and won't hear me out? I mean, at this point, I'm upset, and I don't want to hear things out. I want to speak my mind too. And two angry people trying to speak their mind can be disastrous. But regardless, I mean, I obviously worked for Tequanna Soul Food and Sweets, or at least I tried to, and my heart was in a good place. I mean, I really felt it was going to be really, beneficial to me as a Black Lives Matter supporter, and as a local business person, and as somebody who could use some of the money and stuff, and, things like that to get by and stuff. I thought that would have been a very, positive outlook and thing for me to do, but it just didn't work out that way, and as I said before, I was supporting John Noelke for like 5-6 years, maybe even longer than that, and since he moved and stuff, I felt there was a lot of changes he's made in business and stuff, and he has a lot of changes within his attitude and stuff of how he wants things to go, and I don't know if he's getting cocky or I don't know what it is, but he's getting kind of like he kind of has this attitude about him that, I don't really appreciate in business. So I didn't really want to support him, or at least I was told not to. Just kind of like the same thing with Tequanna. I was actually going to go back down and try to talk to Tequanna in person. I was going to go back down and talk to Tequanna in person. I was actually going to go rush down there and try to talk to her. My heart open, my feelings blazing, just go down there and talk to her and tell her how I feel. So, apparently I didn't get a chance to talk to her and tell her how I feel. So, because I was actually kind of warned and kind of talked against it, that I would actually tell her how I feel. I was told not to. I was told not to tell her how I feel, But I mean, I don't necessarily hate Tequanna. I actually hope the best for Tequanna. I hope the best for Tequanna. Whether she wants me there or not, I hope the best for her. I hope she's going to do really well, because she's a pretty beautiful woman. She has a lot of looks. She could be a model. I think she could be a model, because she definitely has the figure for it. She can definitely be a model. But she's definitely also going to be a very good, business and very good thing for Torrington to have. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, I hate you, et cetera, blah, 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 like, be all angry about it. I mean, I could be, because obviously now I have to go without the soul food. Because I was told I can't go back, and I can't have the soul food, or I can't go back and be a part of the soul food restaurant because I took the job, or at least I tried to help out. But we had two differences of opinions. I would actually look for the posts. I would actually look for my 5-paragraph post, whether it's spelled correctly or not. Even if there's a couple words missing, try to fit in the words that are missing or something, because I'm not going to go back and edit it because I posted too much already. But there's a post with like 5 or 6 paragraphs of how I was actually working for the local business of Tequanna's, and how I really don't have hard feelings towards her. I'm trying not to have hard feelings towards her. I'm trying to come out with this with a clear heart, an open heart, and try to say, if this is how it has to be, if it is what it is, and it is what it is, I'm just going to have to take myself and move on. But a lot of people, I'm assuming a lot of people are mad at me and pissed at me now, because, they kind of figured that they're going to kind of hear about that Tequanna trusted me. That Tequanna trusted me, or Tequanna wanted to trust me, and Tequanna wanted to open her heart to me and stuff like that. And I was obviously somebody who kind of let her down, or kind of betrayed her trust. And it wasn't necessarily totally intentional. I think it was a huge miscommunication issue, but I never really intentionally wanted to let Tequanna down. Granted, the relationship is over. And that's just the way it's going to have to be. My heart goes out to her with a lot of love and a lot of respect, but I mean, obviously I'm going to miss the banana pudding, because it was just the other day. It's even kind of right now where I kind of wish I could go, I could kind of go down there and spend $5 and get some banana pudding, She does make a really good banana pudding, Just the first banana pudding I've actually ever really had at a soul food restaurant and stuff like that. And I think, I think she makes a really good banana pudding. I mean, I never tried the sweet potato pie, and I don't necessarily know if I like sweet potato pie. I like pumpkin pie, but I'm not really a big fan of sweet potato pie. But I do really like the banana pudding, and I really will say that the banana pudding is out of this world. It's a really good banana pudding, and it's worth the $5. I mean, if I could have still supported her and stuff like that, if I was still supporting her around the holidays, if I was still supporting her around the holidays and stuff like that, I would have gone and bought a big tray of like the banana pudding, because she makes big trays. She makes big catering trays of the banana pudding, and I would have got a big catering tray. I would have actually asked her to make me a big catering tray for the banana pudding for my holiday and have it, in my fridge in the house. There's not much I can do now, though. I mean, there's not much I can do. Obviously, people are going to be mad at me because now everybody knows that it's like, Tequanna trusted you, and there was a lot of things personal that went on between me and her, and obviously some of those personal things and some of those business things kind of were meshing together, but in the way that they were meshing together, I don't think it actually worked well. I think we should have just picked. Am I going to be personal friends with you, or am I going to be business friends with you? In a way, I could have been both. I mean, I still could have went there and supported her, but I still would have been more of a personal thing instead, more of a personal thing and more of a personal friend, compared to being, somebody who says, oh, we're going to make you a business person, we're going to make you kind of take the job and etc. Because that was a huge mistake. But I loved the food at Tequanna's. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the parties. Our parties were great. She's a sweet lady. She's a kind lady, and I'm not gonna hold resentment or anger in my heart for Tequanna. But John, I'm a little frustrated with. I mean, I will say that. I think John and I don't see eye to eye in a way. I think John doesn't really give me the benefit of the doubt, When it comes to John Noelke, I don't feel like he gives me the benefit of the doubt. I don't feel like he values me as an artist, or really values me totally what I'm about and etc. So he knows I've done artwork and stuff, and he's never once asked to see my artwork, or asked to see anything, or asked me to bring anything by or anything like that. So he's really not taking really much of an interest in me, or what I'm about, or what I have to offer. So I wasn't too happy about that. So, but anyways, I'm gonna get offline because I'm like trying not to like choke on my own phlegm and my own spit before the point where I vomit, because that's my reflux right now, and that's not good. So, It's the barbecue. It's the barbecue and how it actually hit my stomach. It's probably also my French fries, because once I put the garlic salt on there, garlic and onions are worse for reflux. They are the worst. And they cause congestion, and the congestion with my reflux makes me sick to the point I vomit. So I'm going to get offline because I'm trying not to deal with this much more. But I just wanted to address those things, That's why I'm struggling with the businesses. At the end of the day, though, it still kind of is all love. I mean, it was all love for... At least it was. I was trying to have it to be all love for both of those businesses, but it doesn't seem like in some cases that it's going to be on their end or etc. At least that's how I feel. So, anyways.